If there's a remedy Your membership is more than just a card. It's your gateway to extraordinary experiences. With the AAA app, discover savings and hidden gems. AAA, we're always with you.
Hello, everyone. This is United World of Sports. I'm Dante Suave. This is my co-host, Mr. J.
I'm back.
And my other co-host, Andrew from 0 Hour.
Welcome back in, everybody. Jay, welcome back. Good to have you back, man.
Thank you. Dental work is a piece of
it's something.
but you want to know what? Before we get started, I had talked to you guys while I was out, and I got a rant that I need to just go ahead and get off my chest before we get rolling here, and it has to do with my Cincinnati Bengals and the hypocrisy that's been going on with what's been transpiring with the Trey Hendrickson situation. So I saw the entire press conference, make-through press conference, where he walked up to a voluntary practice in street clothes, gathered the media together, and sat there and basically said, hey, it doesn't feel personal, but it feels personal now. And I think that it's bad that the only correspondence that I've gotten from my coach was a text message saying that if I don't come to the mandatory camps, I'll be fined. and I don't understand what the difficulty is. Let's cut the BS, please. Trey Hendrickson is under contract for this season. It's not an option year. It's not a team option year, nothing of the sort. He's under contract for this year. He's betting on himself, which mainly we sit there and have a mixed bag on. Do we applaud when the players betting on themselves, when they're doing what they're supposed to, or why are you taking away from the team, or why are you looking at the I factor when it should be about winning and everything else in there? And for me, when I saw it, I started laughing, and then I started getting a little bit frustrated and angry because we just went through this last year when Jamar Chase was sitting there doing the exact same thing. But the difference between Jamar Chase and Trey Hendrickson was Jamar Chase was on his rookie deal, trying to get his next deal. This is not Trey Hendrickson's rookie deal. So you've been in the game long enough in order to do that. So if you are a rookie that got locked into what your salary was, and you played beyond what that money was, and you just wanted to get paid what you owe, that's one thing. But when you have only showed out for 2 years and you're throwing a temper tantrum, not disputing the fact that when you was in New Orleans, you were medium, middle of the road. You start out with this defense. Anybody making an investment, and I've said this before on this show, if you're making an investment on there, you have a whole new defensive scheme. Why am I going to pay you? And I'm not sure you might not fit my defensive scheme. You cannot sit there and move the goalposts, which the media does. And as a part of the media, it bothers me. When we move the goalposts to make it seem fit for the narrative that we want to conduct. Because if this would have been Jamar Chase in this position, everybody would have been destroying him. Oh, he's being selfish. He's being a diva. He doesn't deserve all that money. He doesn't do this. We heard all this last year. So what makes it different from last year when it was Chase and Higgins doing that to now when it's Hendrickson doing that, and you don't hear a peep in the media sitting up there saying anything derogatory about what Henderson's doing, how he's sacrificing, he's putting himself ahead of the team or anything else. Why is that not the case? And it's sad because you're not going to hear anything about it. You're not going to hear anything remotely about it. If he doesn't show up to camp, it's going to be up there like, well, Trey Hendrickson's sitting out from camp, but, Al Golden has this whole new roster in there. They're going to roll over it. They're going to roll right past it. But let that be Chase. What happened last season when Chase was doing that and Chase didn't come to practice at the beginning of the season? He was flambéed all through media. And then what did he do? He sat there and said, I'm going to show up and I'm going to do it and I'm going to deal with it after the fact. Once they came out and said, we're not going to pay you or we could not come to an agreement on here, you have to pay through your thing. He said, okay. It showed up. Yeah. Henderson is saying, I'm not playing at all under this contract. So it's not an option. This ain't your fifth year rookie year deal option that you had in here. This is your contract that you signed full on out. And you're going to sit there and say, I'm not going to play. Right. You're thinking, and I see.
From a standpoint, I completely agree. I think that it's all about what position do they play. Jamar Chase being one of the three focal points of the Bengals. Like, if you go out and you ask the average non-Bengals fan to name you 3 Cincinnati Bengals players, Jamar Chase is usually number 2. Yeah, he's usually number 2, sometimes number 1. So that to me is the reason he got as much attention as he got. Was it fair? I don't think so, because like you said, it's his rookie deal. He wants to get paid because he outplayed that contract. He outplayed that contract. And I don't know if there's anybody out there that can tell you he didn't outplay that contract. No. Trey Hendrickson, on the other hand, like for me, when I look at it, I go, he is being I'm going to take my ball and go home, a lot like Carson Palmer did, right? Carson Palmer had this, I don't want to play for this team for X, Y, and Z reasons. Trey Hendrickson has his A, B, and C reasons, and he doesn't want to play for the team anymore. He wants to get paid. He wants security, whatever it is, to the end of his career is my guess. Is this contract is going to take him to the end of his career, and he wants to maximize his dollars for that contract. If he doesn't want to play, fine. You don't get paid. You don't collect your game checks. You don't get your bonuses. You don't get your guaranteed money. Whatever it was that was part of that contract this year, you see none of it. You want to sit on the sidelines and not play? Fine, go ahead. Mm-hmm. But just honestly believe that. Do you get better by doing that? Do you get better by taking yourself out of practice and out of games, out of situational football? Or do you get another year rustier, sitting out, a la Le'Veon Bell? I mean, how well did that go for him, right? He signed a huge contract. Yeah, he got a lot of money. But how well did it work out for the Jets? Yeah, the Jets didn't pay him. Or the Jets paid him, but he didn't work out. Okay, so people are going to take cautionary tales, and now instead of getting that big number that he's looking for out of the Bengals $100 million contract or whatever he wants, you take this year off, and now you're ceiling 60, 65 instead of that 100.
Right, because because if anything, you play in order to get the tape for the next team that might want to pay you that money out of it, even if you're not doing it.
Now it's his chance to show that it is his defense. He is the reason the Bengals defense was successful. Those 17 and a half for 2 years were not because of this guy or that guy or somebody else. It's because of me. I created this for myself. That's his opportunity this year, and I think he's afraid to do it.
And that's the crazy part about that was because Chase got paid because what? When Chase sat there and said, you know what, y'all ain't going to do it, I'm going to honor my contract, I'm going to come out here and play, and what did he do? He got the triple crown.
Yeah, he made this incentive.
He made it where now you got to pay me more than what I was asking for back then because now I am the top receiver in here for it.
Yeah.
Willie,
he's been sitting here for a while steaming. I feel like we should move away from the table.
So, one of the things that happened was the Bengals got caught cheap in both situations. The only difference between Trey Hendrickson and Jamar was that, like you said, he was catching some flack, whereas with Trey Hendrickson, it's we understand where you're coming from. The Bengals are being cheap. Although the reason why they're going at the Bengals saying that you're being cheap is, well, you paid Jamar and you paid Hendrickson.
And you paid Higgins.
Higgins. Why not just go ahead and pay Hendrickson? But I know the reason why, so did they, because I talked about it before any of those two got their money. If you pay all three, you're not going to help the offensive line. If you pay all three, you're not going to be able to pay. You're not going to be able to try to figure out something out with the rest of the defense.
Right.
Now, and there is a bit of, you understand the narrative, that the secret narrative, the underlying narrative of the difference between when a certain person, as we were talking about before everything got started, if I say something, it's going to get looked at in any kind of way. If they can figure out there's some attitude and what I say, they can stay with it. Whereas you, on the other hand, you could flat out come out with attitude, and everybody's going to be like, we're by your side. Right. We have your back.
We say the exact same thing.
Bengals.
100%.
Bengals, step up.
Yeah.
Even though just a few months ago you were saying the reasons why they shouldn't, why the only person that they should pay is Chase, that they shouldn't pay Higgins because for the money that he's wanting, you could probably get somebody with the same amount of talent and not have to pay him as much, considering what his stats were, considering what his stats ended up being.
Okay.
That was the argument. Now, with what happened with Hubbard, which Hubbard makes me mad because I actually liked Hubbard. And to know,
man, you just wore out.
Well, here was my thing. I was trying to figure out where he was. The only time he really that I remember of the games that I watched where I saw Hubbard as much as I saw Higgins. I believe it was the first Ravens game that they lost, and it was like he had a chance to grab Lamar, and instead of cutting him off before he tried to grab him, he just tried to go straight at him. Somebody that's a good scrambler, you don't run straight at him. That is fundamental football that I remember. Even though I was a cornerback, and in high school, I listened in practice, even if it wasn't my position. So it was like the D lineman cut off angle, break down, then pursue. Now you have to figure out how to do this at top speed.
Right. Let's be honest.
Right, but it can be done.
Oh, yeah. I'm not saying
because last I checked,
Sam Hubbard did it too, I think.
last I checked, there's a reason why Brock Purdy got his money today, even though he's not as talented as a Lamar. But we'll get to that later. Here's my thing. Yes. The media has biases, but the media has biases because they know the narrative that people believe, and they feed into that belief to get clicks.
Yes. That you hit it right there, man.
To get clicks, but here's the problem with purely blaming clicks. Number one, it's what the people believe. Number two, it wasn't about clicks before what? 2010?
Not 2010.
That's why people need to understand. This has always been a thing. It's just the details of it have changed.
I mean,
because even when it was even if it was just a newspaper and a magazine and being on the news, being on TV,
I'll tell you this: the Bengals have always been cheap.
Yeah.
I have never. It doesn't matter who the player was. Doesn't matter what year it was. The Bengals were cheap. Growing up,
they've always been cheap. But you will also admit, don't you also admit this? And I've talked to him about this, and I've gotten him to admit this. I can agree that they're cheap, but there's a reason. If every single one of your players, every time they come up, they want to be. Hey, I want to see my face on the sporting news as the highest paid player. Yeah. So wait, there's seniority, and you have to pick certain people, and you got this whole team you got to pay. But every time somebody's and contracts come up every year, and every year every person
Wants to be the highest paid.
Wants to be the highest paid.
Yes.
But yet you only have so much money, and they won't structure out like the baseball players.
Some of them do. Some of them restructure for it.
Because the Bengals just did it to 2 defensive backs this offseason, so they wouldn't get cut.
Those are the ones that wanted to play for the Bengals because they heard the word restructure and they went, yes, I'll restructure.
Really?
But the ones that are the talented and their contract comes up, the answer is what when it comes to the Bengals? No. So I don't mind you painting that picture, and the sad part is you're not wrong.
Right.
But the details are very important, and because I always ask people this, whether I'm at work and I'm asking people as I'm working, especially if they're Bengals fans, and I love their reaction. It's like a father confronting his child on a truth that they have to face. And it's like, so isn't it true that there ain't a team in the NFL that pays every single one of their guys, no matter how good they are, they don't pay those people, right? Yeah. And they get sad. It's like, don't get sad. See the reality. And right, if all teams do it, then why I get that you would like to see them in a better place, but if every team including the Jacksonville Jaguars and the Cleveland Browns will move off of somebody if they can't afford it, then why does everybody act like this is not a thing? And I get the irritation of it. I really do. I get the irritation with the fact that, especially if the player goes somewhere else and they do good, and God forbid, like some of them have, they ended up with Super Bowls. But that's the thing. What are you gonna do if everybody wants the bag and only the people and only the players that are okay? Like the two players that restructured. Would you say that they were on the level of a Trey Hendrickson or Jamar or
they're
Higgins?
definitely second tier necessities. They're necessities, but they're the position's a necessity, and they play well enough to get a contract.
And stuff like this makes me glad that you can say whatever you want, to me about Bill Belichick, but I love the guy because it would have been simple.
What you're saying? Because you're about to go right into where I can wrap this one up with a bow with. So you go to it. What you about to say?
Yes, this is my he didn't care how good you were. Ask Jamie Collins how it worked out that he got the bag the year the Patriots ended up in the Super Bowl and they ended up making history. Ask Lawyer Malloy and Ty Law how things worked out for them.
Right.
When they got sent away. Ask Rodney Harrison how. I believe Rodney Harrison was another one. Matter of fact, he's a name that I've forgotten, but I think that was the reason why he was let go too, because you want the bag and you want to be feisty about it. Okay, ask Asante Samuel. How did that work out when you went to Atlanta and basically got exposed for the rest of your career? I get money is important. Money is important. Let's not downplay this and. So money is important, but your main goal is supposed to be Super Bowls, conference championships, and division titles.
Yeah.
And if you're not doing those, you can have all the money in the world.
You'll be forgotten.
Right.
You will eventually be forgotten unless you got a big mouth like Charles Barkley.
Right. And you can go
Here's the question with the Bengals is why they are historically a cheaper franchise.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Also, this is the first time the Bengals have really dealt with this level of generational talent. And look at every team fumbles it. Right? There's very few teams that get generational talent and the contracts correct. Very, very few. Like San Francisco and Jerry Rice. Like they got that right. They got that one right. Yeah. Joe Montana. They moved off of Joe Montana and they still won a Super Bowl.
They had Steve Young in the way.
And okay, so they got they had some years there. But even with the money and the generational talent, you still run into roadblocks. I mean, look at the Cowboys. They haven't been in a Super Bowl in 96. I mean, there's an entire generation of Cowboys fans who can't figure out why they're Cowboys fans.
No, they can't. It's born in their blood. But there's two quick things about Trey Hendrickson that wraps this one up with this. One. Trey Hendrickson took the deal that Carl Lawson walked away from and signed with the New York Jets for when he signed with the Bengals 4 years ago.
Yes.
So he was okay with the money structure back then. The reason why he was okay with the money structure back then, he spent 4 years in New Orleans. He had 2 sacks, 0 sacks, 4.5 sacks, and then the year before he signed with the Bengals, he had 13.5 sacks. Since he's been with the Bengals, he's had 14, 8, 17.5, 17.5. You started showing out while you were here, and you chose to take that money in that aspect of it. You could have easily opted out because you resigned again before that 2023 season. This is your second contract here. So if you're going to do all that, and now all of a sudden, because you basically did triple what your output was when you was in New Orleans your first 4 years, now you want to do that. But this also ties into what you said about Belichick. Belichick had a thing. Once you get to a certain level, once you get to a certain age, I had to move on from you because I knew the price was going to go through the roof, and I was going to sit there and do that. Trey Henderson's 30.
There's very few players that Belichick held on to
past 30.
Yeah.
So he's 30 years old, and you're raising all this fuss. You're 30 years old as a defensive end, and you already have 8 years on your legs in the league. And you want us to guarantee you at least with that much money, at least 3 to 4 years at 40 or 50 $something million a year.
Overall, guaranteed probably contract. $100 million overall.
Right.
40 to 60 guaranteed.
You want us to do that. That's not going to work. And that's why this narrative has got to I hope that they come to a resolution of it, but if they don't, it is what it is. If he walks, he walks. I'm at that point of it because just like we all said.
The question is, if he gets traded, the trade partners that are being thrown around, Tampa Bay, New England, Chicago. Where does he go if he gets traded?
Depends on what you can get back. And right now, I would say Chicago will probably be the number one because you can get draft picks back in order to continue to build the defense off of. If you cannot continue to build the defense in the next couple of years off of a trade for him for that, then somebody's going to see. Right, somebody's going to come knocking. Somebody's going to come knocking for it if it gets to that point. But at this point, I've not. This generation of leadership from the Bengals has shocked me in a couple of different ways because I'm used to Mike Brown sitting up there saying, I'm not paying nothing. By Carson, by TJ Houshmandzadeh, by Corey Dillon.
Well, Corey Dillon forced his way out. Corey Dillon forced his way out. Carson Palmer forced his way out.
I don't want to hear Corey Dillon's name. And
they both forced their way out.
And I don't want to hear Palmer's name either because
they both
Corey Dillon is a crybaby, and he's fake. It was like, hey, you waited 3 years in a row after the trade deadline.
Yep.
That's why when he got to New England, and I believe it was week 3, and he messed up, and Tom Brady walked over to him on the sideline, and he let him have it. It was great. Yeah. Mm-hmm. It was great. I was yelling. Now, Carson Palmer, to be fair, after he came back from injury, I think the offensive line that year after that went back and watched the 1990s offensive line of the Bengals and thought that was the way you block for Carson. So I don't. So saying yes, he forced his way out, but we got to put some context with that.
But the other part about that,
gave you a warning that that's what he was doing. Because
the crazy part about that is the other part about that whole reason why that offensive line went downhill like that was because you had Willie Anderson and you had Andrew Whitworth. Everybody, they were already your cogs there, and then he got paid. When he got paid, they couldn't pay for the rest of the people on that line to protect them.
Which is why they're cheap. When
Carson signed his deal, he became the highest paid player in the league at that time frame.
There you go. And this is why the Bengals don't normally do it because somehow it bites them in the butt and they get trashed anyway.
Right. They can't win. They can't win no matter what.
So if you can't win, you might as well put your foot in the sand. I mean, for Christ's sake, me and you have talked about it and we went a little over. So let this be the last one. We'll move on. So that's the reason because with the players, kind of. If a regular workplace operated the way the sports teams did,
we're going to get done.
Yes, because
your turnover would be so high.
Wait, I don't like how this boss spoke to me. He's got to go. All right, you're fired. It's like
this is Debbie from HR.
It's like
why am I doing their work? Why am I doing their work again? I done did my work and their work, and y'all gonna sit. What you mean? Get my stuff. I'm complaining too much. Okay.
I bet.
Walk off. everybody needs to understand. There are the noise. The more teams that have noise, that's the reason why you can't have nobody with swag. Because usually the teams that can't go nowhere have the most players with the swag, with the oh, this is how I'm gonna carry myself. I'm gonna carry myself how I want, and you carry yourself all the way to the not being in the playoffs. You carry yourself to being a one and done. Most of those, a lot of the one and dones, they carry themselves with a swagger that everybody's just completely with. We'll talk about this again because now that I brought this up, I definitely want to get into this because I feel like this is one of the things that is holding back. That's holding back a lot of teams. Maybe we'll get into this more next week. With that, we're gonna move on to NHL.
NHL, yeah, we'll dive into the NHL a little bit.
We got Monkey fan. I like it.
We got conference finals coming up this week. So Dallas, Dallas has the most goals and the second highest points between Mikko Rantanen has 9 goals, and Thomas Harley has 11 points as a defenseman heading into the matchup with Edmonton. Now, Edmonton is no slouch either. They have 3 of the top 10 point scorers in the playoffs. Between McDavid, Driggs-Thole, and Bouchard. So, now, this is a rematch of last year.
This is a rematch from last year.
Rematch of last year. Who do you guys have?
I did not think
Edmonton.
I did not think that Connor McDavid and them would get back after the disappointment they had last season.
Yeah.
But for them to get back, I don't see them letting this opportunity slide past them again. It might go 7, but I think that Edmonton might pull this one out in order to get to the finals again for the first time.
Edmonton is 7. Do you have them winning the cup?
No.
Okay.
No. It's Florida's to lose. Florida, if you follow hockey, the Florida Panthers have been between. You would never think hockey in the state of Florida would be like kind of a mix that would be made in heaven.
Yeah.
But between the Panthers and the Tampa Bay Lightning over the past decade, they've ran the show. You've had glimpses of Washington and Pittsburgh and Vegas when they rode that momentum of being a new team and getting a cup in there. So you've had that kind of there, but you always had Tampa Bay, and now it's transitioned to Florida. Yeah. And Florida's got a chance to go back to back.
Even though they went 7?
Yeah, even though they went 7. They shouldn't have went 7 with that one. They went 7 because they wanted to break Toronto's heart again.
They wanted to give them hope.
Oh my God, that is. If there's one fan base that is as bad as the Dallas Cowboys, it is the Toronto Maple Leafs.
I always think that it's the Canadians because they haven't been good since Gretzky, and they just keep holding on to it.
No, it's Toronto.
I mean, Toronto
always. To see that crowd before that game, everybody was up there.
I think is it because they're French? Okay.
It was so bad.
How many games does Florida take?
Florida's gonna take that at 5.
Ignore the Al Bundy moment that we just had here.
I'm saying he hates Toronto over here. I'm just asking why.
It's not a hatred. It's just
Gary Springer moment. Okay?
It's not a hatred. It's just a simple fact of they are every single year. It's like clockwork. Every single year you hear Toronto Maple Leaf fans and Dallas Cowboy fans. We winning the cup, Stanley Cup coming back home. We winning that Super Bowl. We going back, and every single year they might get it. With Dallas' case, they don't ever get close, but Toronto gets a little bit closer. A little bit closer.
Closest Dallas.
No. But what happens to the Cowboys normally? Cowboys get Charlie Brown and Lucy somehow, some way, shape, or form every single time. Right. But then it'll be something catastrophic, and they'll be up there like, oh my God, it's not over here again. The Green Bay game against Dallas during that playoff game. Oh yeah, man, we're gonna do it. We're gonna do it. Wait a minute, who was the 7th seed Green Bay? Wait a minute, why they just score a touchdown?
I think
Why they just score again?
once Skip Bayless stops being a Dallas Cowboys fan,
They'll win.
Yeah, they'll win again.
But
You gotta get off the train
but
first.
if you watch the highlights from that Florida Toronto game,
We've done that a bunch of times. It's not happening.
that Florida Toronto game, they had everybody in the crowd outside of there. Yeah, we want this all year. This all year. Fans are gonna go wild. And with
that. Fans do that all
within 7 minutes, they gave up 3 goals. They were down 3-0. And
Yeah, they lost 6-1.
They lost 6-1.
Yeah.
They gotta put Ravens teams out.
I'm watching on the replay.
Fans was walking out by the end of the second period. Oh, by the way, this was a so when your fans are walking out because they know, oh shit, it's happening again.
All right, well, who do you got? You got Florida winning the whole thing.
I got Florida winning the whole thing at 6. It's going to be Florida and Edmonton in the finals. And this will be just like we've talked about with young teams having to lose in order to take that next step, in order to be better. Edmonton's going to be a problem after this. I think with Connor McDavid being how he's played throughout these years, as long as he stays healthy, then you should see Edmonton start being a very, very viable threat.
So Edmonton turns into the Pittsburgh Penguins with Crosby.
With Crosby and
I can't remember.
Kovalev. Was it Kovalev? Sergei Kovalev? No. Well, no, it was Malkin. Game Malkin was with him over there for that. They'll turn into that, and then they'll run.
They won 3, right?
Yeah, they won 3 with that group, and then Crosby just kind of fell off the map, and then all you heard was Ovechkin.
Well, he had a lot of injuries for Sidney Crosby, unfortunately.
Crosby couldn't. He went from being the next great one after Lemieux to, oh damn, he's hurt again. I used to sit there and get mad about it because he used to just punish my Red Wings for the longest time.
That was a thing for Pittsburgh, Edmonton, Toronto. I mean, when I semi kept up with it.
Injuries in their stuff now. When you get hurt bad enough to where they just said lower extremity issue, they don't say what. They just say whole lower half. For a while, he won't be out back. He'll be back for a couple of weeks.
We're going to be lucky he can sit up in bed.
So, in terms of being full-fledged in hockey, remember I'm a rookie. Just started in the playoffs, kind of like Jordan when he returned, right? Anyway,
What's that?
Because I didn't get to catch that many of the Florida games, but I did catch I caught more of the Hurricanes, and I didn't catch as many of the Edmonton games, but I caught a lot of the Dallas games. And that dude Nico was a problem. Mm-hmm. He is a problem. So
they're gonna be.
Part of me wants to respect the fact that Edmonton used to dominate and go with Edmonton, but again, I watched a lot of Dallas' games, and it's like, oh, this is nice. That guy's a problem. What the heck? This my rookie year.
Yeah.
Let's go Dallas and 6.
Dallas 6. All right.
And then Florida versus Carolina.
Kakalaki.
No, I haven't watched them enough to get them support like that. Let's go. I'll go with the Panthers.
Okay.
Panthers in 5.
And then who wins your cup? Who wins the cup?
Between
Florida and Dallas.
rematch of last year's finals.
He's thinking.
Let's say that Dallas is finally going to get a championship. Let's go with that.
Oh, you're riding the whole wave of trading Luka and getting the.
See, I'm gonna draft pick and then they win the Stanley Cup.
I was thinking more Cowboys, but but okay.
I mean, that would be would that be the third Dallas team to win? Yes, that would be the third Dallas team to win a championship since the Cowboys did.
Yeah,
joining the Rangers.
Yep.
Okay,
that's right.
And with that,
I'm gonna see me. I'm taking Edmonton in 6. I'm taking Carolina in 5, and Carolina's going to win the cup. They've been down too long. 2006 was their last win.
See, man, we put all these picks. How did we do on the NBA? On the NBA picks we did.
You don't want to know.
Horrible. The Pacers are the only ones that made it out of everybody I picked.
I think you did okay because you both got it. No, I did okay because I had the Knicks. I didn't get the Cavs, but I had the Knicks, and I'm pretty sure I took the Timberwolves. But I don't.
Review the tape.
So I got 2, right? I think I got 2. I think if I took the Timberwolves. I know I didn't take the Thunder, but I'm pretty sure I took the Timberwolves.
I thought I took.
But I know I took the Knicks, and that's.
I took the Thunder.
That's what I'm holding on to, man.
I'm trying to remember here now. We'll go back and go look at the tapes. I know I thought I took the Thunder. I know I went against the Warriors and I said the Wolves because it hurt me, but I thought the Wolves would take it. I thought I said
and I did get that one wrong because I took the Warriors.
I thought I said the Knicks, and then the only one I missed was the Pacers Cavs. So I thought the Cavs were going to take it. I think I'm not for sure, but
you don't have it this week.
No, I grabbed the wrong notebook.
All right.
Brand new notebook that I just started.
Gotcha. All right. So with that,
NBA playoffs, or are we going to move on back to contract NFL talk? Where do we want to go?
oh boy, yeah, that did take too long.
he was still hit Brady.
Okay.
He was still hit. I said Brady.
We'll see where it ends up. We gotta hit the NBA.
Yeah, that's
Yeah. We gotta
NBA
hit the
playoffs start
NBA
again.
Matter of fact, they start tonight, don't they?
No,
Tomorrow.
Yeah,
It's
tomorrow.
tonight.
Yeah, NHL's tonight. Tomorrow is Western Conference.
Yeah, Thunder.
It's Thunder Wolves,
Yep.
and then Wednesday is Indiana and the Knicks.
Yep.
Which I'm kind of hoping those prices for those Indiana playoff tickets were outrageous.
Oh yeah, they're only going to get worse
Upper deck was $200.
unless they go down 3 games. Or yeah.
Oh man, but you know Madison Square is going to be an upcharge for upper deck and Gainsbridge was $200, I think, and you had to be a Pacers fan member, so you had to pay for that too in order to get that price for it.
Yeah.
But the regular seats was already at $800.
Yeah.
My brother's a Knicks fan, and he was sending it to us in the group chat, and I was like, "You have fun. You have no responsibility."
They said the nosebleeds you're paying at least $700.
Yeah, that's why I was like, man, I'll watch it at home.
All right. Pacers Knicks. Eastern Conference Finals. Pacers Knicks. Who's winning and why? Pacers in 6.
Ooh.
Okay, why? Who you got? Why so much trust in the Pacers against the Knicks team that held off a really talented Celtics squad?
To me, that's not exactly what happened. Now, obviously, they played defense. They did what they had to do. But when you're sitting up here and you're so reliant on three and not as reliant on your inside game, and you're playing a team that's reliant on defense, inside game, and threes, it's not a shock that you lost.
Okay.
And this is why me and you always have this debate about the threes, because I can't stand them. Because yes, 3 is more than 2, but how much is
How successful are you at?
a missed possession?
Right.
Yes.
So if you have nobody down low,
you missing threes is empty possessions. And if you, and I don't care who you are, what team you are, if your team has less empty possessions than this team, then 9 times out of 10, the team that had the least amount of empty possessions is going to win the game, whether they shoot threes or twos.
Just remember,
Now, being able to shoot them both, mostly relying on the twos, is what's going to help you. Yes, 3 is more than 2, but you got to use that as a perk. You use that as a perk, because if they can't stop you inside or outside, then that breaks them down mentally and ends up breaking them down physically, which makes it easier for you to win the game. And
does the depth of the Pacers bench, is that what's going to
the
win?
depth of the Pacers bench, the fact that they play that defensively.
Okay.
Defensively, they're great, and then you can't trust Karl Anthony Towns. That's why Minnesota. That's the whole reason that they got rid of him. They loved Karl. They loved Cat.
Yep.
They loved him.
Yep.
But he wasn't consistent enough.
Yeah.
And it's like, okay, bro.
So do they rely on Karl Anthony Towns though to win those games?
Yes.
They need him.
That was the whole. That was what helped. That was another thing that helped them beat the Celtics. Was he was more consistent than inconsistent. And
So that doesn't follow through on into the next last round. You don't think? You think he falls off?
And that's what's going to get them. That's part of what's going to get them. It because you got Brunson and you got Cat. Other than that, who else we got for the next?
OG Anunoby, McBride coming off the bench. You have Mikal Bridges. You have and before you even do that, because they all had been averaging almost 15 and 10 throughout the entire Eastern Conference semifinals. Everybody came to play.
Yeah, how much were they averaging when they lost because they weren't consistent?
That's the whole reason. That's the whole.
I can't give it. I'm saying Knicks in 7, and the reason why I'm saying Knicks in 7 was that
Right there.
the reason both teams, you cannot take what you saw in the semifinals into this final, and I'm gonna tell you why. Both teams, you had a defending champion that lost a star player and basically couldn't hit the broadside of the barn because their arrogance did not dictate to them that when they were missing to go inside. So they played into that aspect of it. They lost 2 games at home when they were up by 20 in the third quarter because their arrogance told them, oh, we're going to end up making our shots, and they let another team come in there. So they gave a lot of that to New York, to where you saw where New York got there at. Now, on the same flip of that, the Pacers went up against a Cavs team that was not healthy at all. They missed Mobley. You had Garland out for a while. You had Mitchell that was still balling out even though he was hurt. You had Allen that was out for another injury, and you had another player that was out with an injury. They did not get the full Cleveland Cavaliers team that they went up against. And so when they went up against them in that, they lost that one game with that, but they did what you're supposed to do. You take care of a wounded dog, or you take that wounded animal out in the pasture and you put it out of its misery. They did that. But can we sit there and say, if the Cavs was 100% healthy, it would have been that same outcome? We can't. Because the depth that Mobley with the defensive player of the year, the guard play that you had with Garland, if Garland was 100%, if Mitchell was 100% in there, would there have been that easy for Indiana? Now you're going up against where you have your guard, which is Halliburton, and you have Neesmith going up against Brunson, who is the clutch player of the year. If that game, they have shown that if that game is within 15 or 20, they have every game that they've won, they have locked down in the third and fourth quarter and brought themselves back in from 20-point, 15-point deficits in order to hammer that down. We've seen Indiana had leads in those games that they won in the first round and in that second one, and they shrunk. and they had to pull it out. There was only 2 blowouts in them first 2 rounds. If Indiana gets tight, you can't get tight in Madison Square Garden. And New York has home field advantage.
Yep.
You get tight in Madison Square, especially with that crowd that's been waiting since '99 in order to have that in there, it's going to feel like the world's coming out.
The last game that they won in the Garden, wasn't that the first game that they won at home?
What? In that series? No.
In the playoffs?
No. They didn't win at home. They didn't win at home. It's the last game. If you're looking back into, and the other part that makes it to where I think that the other part of that is Brunson wants blood because he got hurt in that game 7 and couldn't finish that out last year. Because you got to remember, they went 7 games in Eastern.
Everybody wants blood. You got Halliburton that's been called overrated. You got Halliburton who was there last year when
they got to that point.
When they got to that point and
they got to the finals, they got ranked.
So they got to the finals and they didn't get it. So he wants blood too. And not only are they deeper, yes, do they need to make sure that they stay on top of things. As much as everything that you said about that Cleveland game, about the Cleveland and the Pacers, you could say about the Celtics. The Celtics had one way that they wanted to play. They had played this all season. When the whistles were being blown, it worked more. When the playoffs hit, it all went to crap, and they didn't adapt. And the Knicks got to take advantage of a situation because you got to play them for 4 quarters.
Ooh, I didn't even see that.
And you got to play them for 4 quarters, and if you don't play them for 4 quarters, and you're not going inside and outside, you're going to lose. But the good thing about that, at least from the Pacers' standpoint, is yes, they do rely on the 3, but they have all of their people know how to go inside, and that was the reason why they ended up ending it. That was another reason why they ended it when they did, because they sat up there and they shot threes, and when they seen that they was off, they started going inside. And when they started going inside, they started making shots, which opened up the 3, and for them to use the perk for what it is. It's a perk. Other than that, because I would scream at my phone like, dude, every time I would see them go down and shoot a couple of threes and they miss, I'm like, damn it, go inside. And it was like they heard what I was saying, because the next 4 or 5 shots, they went inside, whether it was a jumper or going straight to the rack. Bottom line, right here, both these series is going to be epic, and I hope to be home for every moment of it. But yeah, both of those teams did what you said. It's just the details were different. Because even that game where Tatum got hurt, they were losing. By the time he got hurt and went out, they were already losing by 9.
Right.
So the game was already looking bad anyway. So
that's why
hopefully they look at this.
That's why when I said that, I kept on saying the arrogance of it. Because the arrogance of it is what, like, when we have the debates, and like you said, we've had the debates about the 3-point shot. My whole thing about the 3-point shot is, if you're on, you shoot. If you're not on, you start thinking about other ways of generating your offense. Because when they said that they took 168 open threes and only made a quarter of them for Boston, that shit right there, I could see if they were contested threes. You don't have nobody within 6 feet of them, and you're missing. After a while, a pump fake would come into play, or a kick in and kick out.
With 30 seconds left, we'll move over to the West Coast really quick. Thunder, Timberwolves, you got?
I got the Thunder in 6.
Thunder in 6.
Thunder
in 6, Knicks in 7, huh?
Yeah, I just don't see what I saw from Oklahoma City. Besides that game 6, showed me that I think that they might be they might be ready to take a chance. Do I think they will win the title? It's a toss-up right now. They got to show me something in this next series of it. I just don't think. For me, I think Minnesota has gotten to this point last year, and then they look as good as they did last year right now, and then something just fell off. And I got something in my gut just keeps on telling me something's not, either Randall's not going to play up to what he's been doing in there, or Ant is going to hit a wall. And I don't want to believe that. I really want Ant to become the face of the league. I really do. But at this right now, if I have to look at the team that's built around each one, I'm more comfortable with the team that's built around OKC than I am with the team that's built around Ant. Because Ant, if Gobert has that where he don't know how to play defense all of a sudden, or if Randall somehow gets cold, who do you have to support Ant?
Willie, final word. What do you got? Timberwolves, Thunder.
I'm going with the Timberwolves.
How many games?
7.
7. Timberwolves 7. All right. Awesome. That looks like a lot of fun.
Basketball every day. And I'm off next week.
We got hockey and the NBA, and it only makes sense to head back to the NFL.
And because I don't have my laptop with me, there's a story that I saw.
Yeah, you did tell
that I saw that I wanted to talk about, but because I don't remember the gentleman's name and I don't have my laptop with me to help me look it up and remind me, so I will.
So that's a cliffhanger for next week, right there.
Yeah,
I've never seen a better one.
Tune in next week.
Never seen a better one given.
It's a tale of know the rules, and especially if you're not in this country, don't break them.
Let's do a quick hit on the way out. I think this is a story that I don't know if it'll have a lot of bearing on his career as it sits right now. It may come back to bite him in about 3 or 4 years when he goes for that contract. But Caleb Williams, his stuff that came out pre-draft last year about things that he said, his dad's quoting, I don't want my son to play for the Bears. His, the stuff that he has said to his confidants and stuff like that about the dysfunction of the Bears organization. Is that would you say that he had Caleb Williams had a fair assessment of the Chicago Bears going into that draft? Or is it one of those things like, just shut up and play? You're getting paid an obscene amount of money. Who cares how dysfunctional the Bears are?
I don't know why you pointed at me. I don't know why.
Well, apparently
you go.
Are you going to cry? Do you need a hug?
Okay. No. Okay, so
you go.
I have a West Coast bias. I've always had a West Coast bias, and I'm sorry if I'm rocking because this is what bothers me when it comes to that. I despise Caleb Williams. Caleb Williams was he was the worst thing that, besides Lincoln Riley right now, to my USC Trojans. When Lincoln Riley brought him out there, this was Shedeur Sanders before Shedeur Sanders.
Yeah,
he was hyped in Oklahoma. You know me, I don't care. He was hyped in Oklahoma. He didn't like it. He transferred as soon as Lincoln Riley left, went out to USC. He threw up all them stats and he got a 12 for a 75 record. Right. He got a Heisman for a 75 record. Yeah. And then the next season, it was everybody else's fault. I watched some of them games sitting up on Saturday nights, sitting up just saying, please, just bring us back to some type of relevancy. Oregon's doing good over here. USC, give me something to make me happy. Make me want to get my jersey out.
So is
So I think that the criticism of the Bears is absolutely warranted, just given their history. It still is. It's functional.
It's gotten with this regime. It might be better, but you got to think about it.
It's still Chicago,
Right? It's more, but
the toxic environment that the media create is just so hard to grow.
You had a GM with one quarterback that he inherited from a coach. You fired that coach. Then you got rid of that quarterback. Then that GM drafts another quarterback. He gets fired. The new coach inherits that quarterback. Yeah, you don't like him.
It's bad.
And then you trade him. And then you get another new coach. You get
coach.
It's the worst thing that you can have. The worst thing that you can ever have is to have a GM and a coach not be tied to the quarterback that they want. Right. If together. If you have one that had their quarterback and the GM left, or vice versa, you're never going to feel secure. And that's part of the reason why the whole thing with Shador went left with the Giants, because what did the owner of the Giants say after he watched Saquon Barkley win a Super Bowl from what the general manager of them said? We don't want to pay him for that aspect of it. And the head coach let him walk. Y'all got 1 year. Y'all need to win.
Yep.
And they brought in Russell Wilson and then drafted Jackson Dart. Why? Jackson Dart came from Ole Miss. Who runs Ole Miss? Good old Kiffin. What did Kiffin do? He has been an offensive coordinator in the NFL and ran a pro-style offense. So what are you going to hedge your bets on? You got 1 year to let Jackson Dart by week 4 tell Russell, go sit with Sierra. And go ahead and put him out there and see if he can get you at least to 5 to 7 wins and show improvement. If you can do that, that might save him for another year.
I mean, they don't win the East.
No.
Do they have a shot at making it as a wild card?
No.
The Giants.
The Giants need to win at least 7 games in order to save their season.
I think they need to be 10.
They're too far off. They're too far gone.
That's the thing is, I think they need to win 10 for that regime to keep their job.
I
think they're gone regardless.
I do too, but if they win 7 and they show development in their team to where it's competitive, if they win 7 and their losses are competitive, they're not getting ran out from there, then they might have a shot at keeping it. But if they're like 5,
they got to go 500 in the division. Got to go 500 in the division.
They're going 2 and 3 in that. 2 and 4 in that division, but there's no way in.
Losing both to Philly and Washington.
Yeah, they might go 1 and 5 in that division because they're going to split. They might split with Dallas.
I think they beat Dallas twice. Because I think
Dallas twice.
I think Dallas is going to turn into an absolute garbage show, but.
And tune in for my take on the whole Caleb in the group. Unfortunately, we have come to the end of the show. To the end of the show. It's something that I've been wanting to do anyway, so this kind of works. Some of our takes, we can start posting them in the group. That way,
you'll see it on Facebook. Absolutely,
everybody can watch. Come to the United World of Sports